Hey internet friends, Grace here. Have you ever heard the quote, "When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty"? Sometimes this quote gets attributed to Thomas Jefferson, sometimes it gets attributed to Henry David Thoreau. Regardless, words are just words if they never leave paper, if they're never actually applied to real life. So today I want to talk about the responsibility that falls on the individual, and what it means to toe the line in the face of great injustice. Because there seems to be this defeatist sort of sentiment swirling around, the sentiment that we're all surrounded by fools and preyed upon by monsters. And while that might be true to a certain extent, it doesn't mean that you, an individual, are powerless. Like you're some kind of bystander in your own life, waiting for other people to tell you when to jump and how high. So I knew I wanted to discuss this idea when I saw this viral video being shared on Twitter. The actual footage is of a funeral. Basically, the patriarch of the family has died. Mom's understandably heartbroken after all, her husband's gone. Her sons are there along with a few other folks. As you can see, they're all socially distanced, 6 feet, wearing their mask, paying their final respects to this guy. In the video, you see the son move his chair to sit beside his mother and comfort her during what is probably one of her lowest moments. All of a sudden, a staff member of the funeral home appears, interrupting the funeral, saying that the family needs to separate. The son cannot hug his mother. He needs to move 6 feet away from his mother, in fact.
It's my privilege to have been asked to conduct our service today to celebrate the life of Alan Wright. I therefore offer you all a very warm welcome as we unite in love and friendship to...
You have to put the chairs back, I'm afraid. You can't move the chairs to yourself.
As you can see, grieving family members were scolded like children for their attempts to comfort their loved ones. And when one single employee of the funeral home told them to obey, to put their chairs back, they all complied like sheep. I mean, watch them all dispersed like there's some kind of fire lit under their butts. I'm surprised they didn't get the tape measures out to make sure they were actually 6 feet apart, because gosh darn it, if it's only 5 feet 11 inches, this one funeral could turn into 2 real fast. At least that's what the TV told me anyway. Now imagine being that funeral home employee and thinking to yourself, you know what's a good idea? For me to interrupt this funeral to stop this guy from comforting his mother after her husband just died. That guy saw a group of people in mourning and said to himself, you know what? I'm just gonna make this a little worse for them. But then back it up, flip it, and reverse it. Imagine being the son who is comforting your grieving mother and being told by a stranger that you can't, and actually complying instead of telling them to go to hell. Listen, if you get kicked out of your dad's funeral for telling off the funeral staff who is ordering you not to hug your mother, you're not a disgrace at all. You're a legend. You see, both the staff member and the people who moved their chairs back have committed a sin that is equal in my book. They all towed the line. The family members all probably rode to the funeral in the same car. At some point, they probably went out to a restaurant and all sat shoulder to shoulder in the same booth. So why anyone would accept that you can't hug your own mother at your dad's funeral is beyond me. It's full-on police state. It's mindless obedience that has been perpetuated by months of lies and fear-mongering. It's straight up psychological torture. The son in the video that got reprimanded took to Facebook to voice his frustration with the situation. He wrote, "I can sit in a restaurant, I can sit in a pub, I can live at her house, I can travel in a limousine to the crematorium with 6. But when I want to give my mom a cuddle at dad's funeral, a man flies out mid-service shouting, 'Stop the service,' and makes us split. It was a devastating day that was made even worse." This guy makes totally valid points, but he still towed the line nonetheless. These words are worthless. This Facebook post is worthless. It's just scribbles on a screen if not put into practice. It's just a news story to produce outrage, normalize this practice, reinforce the tyranny, and something to program learned helplessness into society. Which is part of why I think a lot of these videos are released and go viral. So what is this? Just the collapse of Rome Part 2, this time with Wi-Fi? Are we all really so powerless and brainwashed that we must forfeit our dignity and humanity in exchange for this thing we call safety? Which is ironically provided by and mandated by the state. You know, a lot of people move through their lives like ghosts, thinking that their life just doesn't matter, that nothing here on this earth actually matters. Their impact, their legacy, if they have any at all, will fade as future generations take hold. So why bother at all? Frankly, I don't understand this mentality, nor do I want to be around people who have it. My view is that as individuals, we have the power to either lay the foundation for tyranny or be the gust of wind that blows over the house of cards. The choice is yours. What do you think, internet friends? You know I always look forward to your comments. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, and supporting my channel on Patreon.